KOMP 92.3, where Vegas rocks. It's Sylvia with Eric. Eric Bass, multi-instrumentalist, producer, songwriter, bassist for Shinedown. What else am I missing, Eric?
Oh, all around,
Great guy.
boring person,
Oh, okay.
I keep, I don't have much of a life because of those things you just mentioned. I just kind of sit in a room by myself a lot.
Okay. So, all right. So, fair enough. We were talking off mic. You're currently in the middle of Shinedown rehearsals.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys are going off on tour April 25th. How's the overall feeling?
It's great. Actually, last night was the first time that I got to see the full stage.
Oh,
I'd seen it in
really?
drawings and stuff, and um, I was the last one into rehearsal. I had some things to take care of in the studio at home, and so everybody else had been here and seen it. I got to walk in last night, and within 20 minutes, we're up on the stage, rehearsing, and it's massive, man. It's cool though. It's every time that we do a tour, we try to do something different than we did before, obviously, and
Yeah.
last record cycle, we had the stage that went all the way out into just the middle of the audience. And now it has that same vibe, but different, and we just tried to expand on it. And we're also doing some cool stuff with the set list this time. I don't want to give anything away yet, but it's a blessing. A huge blessing, but also kind of a difficult thing when you have so many singles and so many number ones, which is a huge, like, again, not
Yeah.
complaining about that at all, but we can't put all of the number ones into a set list. And
Mhm.
so we in order to kind of, and we've been doing that, man. We've just been playing all the bangers all the time. And we decided to throw a couple curveballs into the set list this time. So
Okay.
some things the fans might want to hear, so that we haven't played in a long time. So but I tell you what, man, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot going on up there for sure. And it's exciting.
Okay, because I was gonna say I saw you guys back in 2023 October, and
Hmm.
it was freaking phenomenal. And like you said, it was just hit after hit after hit. Like it's such a great show. And I know you can't give away too many things, but the one of the things from the show that I really liked was a pyro. So can
Yeah.
you say that like our friend's gonna get treated to like a
Oh yeah.
pyro show? Like I know, and
We
also like the cool thing, like Brent has a hand in that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Brent and Zach put the live shows together, with our friend Mitch, and Mitch is a fantastic lighting designer, and I mean, he does all sorts of mega star shows. But the
Yeah.
three of them really put the show together, and I'm more on the studio end of things. So it's kind of nice actually when we get to this part of the process, because I just get to kind of stop working. So it's kind of good. But yeah, but Brent loves pyro. Like, it's like his favorite thing in the whole world. He loves
Oh, I could
fire.
tell.
Yeah. So there's a no one will be disappointed. How about that? And
Okay.
there will not be a lack of pyro, I promise.
Okay. Perfect. So Shinedown is huge on mental health, and I love that. And two of the newer songs that you guys have released, Dance Kid Dance and 365,
Yeah.
um, they touch that subject in their own way. Can you talk about like the stories behind those songs?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dance Kid was written first out of these two songs. We've written a bunch of songs for the new record. These were just the first two we wanted to release. And Dance Kid was and but this is by no means an endorsement or me speaking out against either one with any
Mhm.
sort of drugs that people need to take to help them with depression,
Sure.
i.e., um, uh, Zoloft, Wellbutrin. I probably shouldn't
Mhm.
mention names, but anyway, SRIs. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Yeah.
But the interesting things happened to my brain when I was on those things, and not good things. They caused me to have really dark thoughts, and sort of it kind of took on it created thoughts that didn't seem like they were mine, if that makes any sense at all. I mean, these are psychotropic drugs, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and you mix that with, like, Adderall and Ritalin and things like that, and I just, it caused me to wonder, like, what are we doing to our kids? What are we giving our kids? At young ages, we're putting kids on these drugs, and
Yeah.
and so that was the genesis of the song. It's, again, it's not a you know I'm not taking a stand one way or the other to tell people what to do with themselves or with their children, but it's just from my personal experience. That's all. You know,
Yeah.
I began those drugs in high school and eventually took myself off of them, which, you know, I just had to do. I felt like I was in a worse place than I was with them.
Hmm.
So, and you know, look, with Shinedown, we always write from firsthand experience, you know.
Yeah.
So that was really the genesis of that song. 365 is about we've all had a lot of loss, you know, and especially me and my family over the past 3 years. You know, meaning my immediate family and my friend groups and mentors and you know just lost an awful lot of people. And you know, just about the time you would think that it was over with, something, you know, another person would pass,
Yeah.
and it was just one hit after another, and that's really was the genesis of that song. You know, was talking about how, man, you know, like a year ago, I had all these people in my life, and now I don't, and you know, and it's somewhere when Brent and I were in the writing session, one of us said, you know, man, a lot can happen in a year. And that was it. You know, that kind of sparked the whole thing. And so yeah, it's just about you know, going through rough times and you know, wishing that you could make it differently, wishing that you could make it different rather,
Yeah.
and go back and but you can't. So it really call, you know, if nothing else, it's a call to appreciate the people that you have around you right now and the situations that you're in right now and you know, it's really easy to complain. I do it all the time and without thinking about how blessed I am
Mhm.
and I think we all do that, and so it was really meant to sort of bring that to light and just you know try to appreciate the blessings that you have because you know who knows where you'll be next year, you know.
Yeah, I think because we're always go, 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 that
Hmm.
we don't stop to think about, our blessings or what's
Yep.
we're not present.
Yeah, present's a good way of putting it too. You know, I try to pray gratitude every day. You know, that's
Hmm.
kind of that's been something I've been trying to do for like the past year or so.
Yeah,
And some days I'm better at it than others. You know,
sure.
just I'm human, right?
I think we are. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it really is about that. It's about just appreciating the people and mainly the people that you have around you right now, and um, you know, because none of us can see the future, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
We did talk about you being super busy right now. You're busy in Shinedown. You have the songs, you have the tour coming up, and then of course Eric Bass presents.
Hmm.
Baby's solo album is called I Had a Name. It already came out February. I first heard Good Night, and I was instantly obsessed with it. Like even coming
Thank
to the
you.
station, like I was like, it's that and Mind Controller, like my absolute like top favorites of that album. And when the opportunity came to talk to you, I was like, yes, I need to know everything about this album. So again, thank you so much for taking
Dude.
the time to talk about it. Um, I wanted to know first, like, did you ever think that you would um do a solo album, a solo project? Do I call it a solo album, a solo
Yeah,
project?
I guess that's what it is. I
What's a
mean, yeah,
technical term?
I just call it my stupid rock opera. That's what I call it. Yeah, but I mean, no, not really. I actually say that it chose me. I didn't choose it. I didn't really have an intention to set out to write it. I was writing a graphic novel story, and which I am still currently working on for this, and the record is a companion piece to that. And
Hmm.
at some point, I thought it was a great idea to it wasn't hard enough to write a graphic novel. How about write a record that of songs that kind of go along with it? And so what I did is I just pulled snapshots from the story. It's not really their album is chronological, but it's not
Hmm.
telling the whole story. It's just kind of telling pieces and you know scenes that I
Sure.
thought were interesting or moments that I thought felt good. And
Hmm.
um, but I never like was like I'm gonna write this solo record. It was just I started at some point on the Attention record cycle. I started compiling some musical things, and I asked the band if they were ready to start writing, and they said no. So I said, well, I'm going to use these probably for something else, um, and you know, just kind of wrote a couple of things, and it just sort of snowballed, and then it was like you know, originally it was going to be a couple of songs, then it was going to be an EP, then it became a record, and you know, then it became expansive to the point to where there are 3 or 4 songs that didn't make it to the record that are done. So, um, uh, it just kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey,
Yeah.
I want to be born. So, but there was never any like, grand plan to set out to do this or anything. It just
Hmm.
happened.
Was it harder to write I guess a soundtrack for a graphic novel versus like a Shinedown album?
Well, it's twofold. In some ways, it's easier, and in other ways, it's more difficult. It's easier because I don't have to listen to any other opinions. You
Okay.
know,
All right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm very used to us. We're collaborative, and maybe I love something that Brent hates, or Zach loves something that I don't like, and
Hmm.
we have to kind of songs that make it onto records or don't make it onto Shinedown records. Those are by committee between us. I mean, we all kind of know which songs are going to be on there, and then they're the outliers that you need to finish the record with. And some of those songs make them, some of them don't. And so it's easier in that way, in that I can just sort of explore musical absurdities and lyrical absurdities and just sort of try different things without having to worry about anyone else's opinion. But that's also the curse, because when you're writing music with other people, you can look at them and go, "Hey, is that
Hmm.
really great, or is that not great?" Or that thing that seems like it's on the borderline of like cheesy, stupid, or really great. Like
Yeah.
there's a fine line between those two things sometimes, and you can kind of turn to them and go, "Is this awful or is this great?" And I didn't have that with me in the room when I was writing. So
Hmm.
in that way, it was like, I mean, I'm solely responsible for all of it, for
Yeah.
anything that ends up on it. So that's the main difference. I mean, it was it a different process? Not really. I mean, the process of making a record for me is always generally pretty much the same. The only difference on this was that I was playing most of the instruments,
Yeah.
and um, rather than working with other people with that. But there's always, I'm always super worried about wanting something to be great and want it to, and I just stress myself out over it. So that
Yeah.
wasn't any different at all. But I'll tell you what, man, the other thing that was nice about this was I wasn't sure I was ever going to release it. So I just was making something for myself,
Hmm.
and I know that might sound ridiculous, but that was honestly where my brain was. So there was really no gravity to it at that
Hmm.
point. It was just like, well, if it sucks, then no one ever has to hear it. It's not like a Shinedown record where you're making a record and it's going to get put out.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're never going to let anything not good come out, but
Hmm. Hmm.
you still know that this thing is coming out one way or the other. So, there is that sort of underlying seriousness to making a Shinedown record that wasn't present when I was making this. So.
Did it feel more liberating in the sense because it originally it wasn't going to be intended to be released, so it was just that idea in the back of your mind? Did that give you more freedom?
Yeah, for sure. It was like, believe me, there's some, and I probably will release the other things that didn't get finished or that
Hmm.
didn't make it on the record. And there's some of those things that are kind of, vocally and lyrically outlandish in certain ways and that's not why they didn't make the record. They
Yeah.
just weren't right. But
Uh-huh.
it is liberating to just kind of be able to put a character on, or step outside of my comfort zone and not really worry about it at all. And yeah, so the fact that there was always that pending possibility that no one would ever have to hear it other than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it made it great. And I feel like that's how I should go about everyone should go about making art that way, actually.
Hmm.
It's kind of rudimentary if you think about it, or elementary in a way, because it's you shouldn't ever make something for somebody else. You should make it for yourself, and you should make what makes you happy. And if you do that, then there's no, for better or worse, there's no regrets at that point. You're not going like, oh man, I should have stuck to my guns and done what I wanted to do rather than what I thought the fans wanted. Or, you know, you make something that you're proud of one way. That's the true way to make something you're proud of. And you just have to let the chips fall where they may, because they're going to fall wherever, no matter what.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's probably a great way to go about making music and art and poetry and writing, authoring a book. And
Yeah.
so
I think authenticity shines through too. when you
Yeah.
make it for yourself. As selfish as that sounds, like
Well, but it's not so, but that's why you make it. You make it for
mhm,
you. Like I don't make music so that I can get on stage and be on tour. I make music because it makes me happy. I make music
yeah,
because that's the thing out of everything in the world, it's the one thing that makes me feel vastly fulfilled and amazing. And it's also the thing that makes me feel really crappy too, because
yeah.
I care so much about it. And so uh, I'm making, I make everything, and this is gonna sound so cheesy, but I make everything out of love. Like I make everything out of like I love doing this. I love what this is doing for me personally. It's selfish.
Mhm, mhm.
And if I think that that's where the honesty and authenticity comes from. And I think that if you at the end of the day, when you roll that thing out that you spent so much time loving, I mean, look, it is a double-edged sword too, because if people hate it, then it's like it cuts a little more,
Of
because
course,
I
yeah.
love this thing so much.
Like you
Um,
want to protect it almost if like
yeah,
you're
well,
the
well,
owner's part
sure,
of it.
sure, absolutely, and
Yeah.
that, and then again, that maybe plays back into why maybe I wasn't going to release it. Is like it was this sort of like I love this little stupid thing I made, and
Yeah.
I want it to be safe, but I saw an interview with Rick Rubin. He said something very poignant and it just stuck with me. He said that art is never complete until you give it to someone. It's not done, it's not
Mhm,
finished until you give it away. And that kept sticking with me when I was hanging on to it. It was like, man, just it doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not finished. It's incomplete.
mhm,
You have to expose the things you love to criticism if you're going to be an artist of any type,
mhm.
you know.
Yeah. I do hear Shinedown's DNA in the songs, but the thing is, like, it is absolutely you. But what has your time in Shinedown kind of prepare you to release something that is so personal?
Um, well, again, kind of back to what we were just talking about. It's like, I'm not going to die if I release this. I'm not going to die if it comes out and nobody likes it. And
Hmm.
that comes from being in a band that's popular because you're popular, but that doesn't mean everybody likes you. You
Hmm.
know, like we have a lot of people that think we're terrible, and we have a lot of people that don't like what we do, and we should be heavier, or you guys were better when you were on drugs, or whatever
Yeah.
whatever the comments are, and
Hmm.
and so that does prepare me to put something like this out, and when I finally came to terms with it,
Yeah.
just to go, man, it's not, just stay out of the comments and you know let it free
You can't
and
read the comments anyway.
yeah, I do though sometimes. Sometimes you get caught up in them and you have that negativity bias that's built into you from, like monkey brain, lizard
Yeah.
brain thing where,
Yeah.
if I fall out of favor with the tribe, I'm gonna starve to death, right? And that's where that comes from. And so you remember that one bad comment because that one bad comment could be
Hmm.
the thing that causes you to starve to death, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and that's the only that's the it's like walking through a minefield, the comment section, because the vast majority of things are if you're releasing it to a fan base are going to be pretty positive, I
Mhm.
imagine. But there's always going to be that one person that tells you that what you did was this is the worst thing I've ever heard, and that's the thing you
And
remember,
that's the
not
thing that
the
sticks out. Yeah.
yeah, not the 8,000 other things that were great. But that's just, I think that's what causes me to stay out of the comments. I'll wade into the comment section until I see that thing, and then I'm like, okay,
I'm
I'm
done.
out,
I don't
I'm
want to do it
out, I'm
anymore.
out, I'm out. And not in like that affected me or wounded me or anything,
Yeah.
but just like, okay, I learned my lesson. I shouldn't have come in here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get that kind of mindset. I
yeah,
sometimes do that too. You shouldn't
yeah.
do it because
You
it's
shouldn't do it, but like,
how is that going to benefit ultimately?
well.
It's just going to be like, ugh.
Yeah, a
You
lot of people like to have the pulse on what people think, but then at that point, it's like you're making it for other people. Like 'cause if you're paying attention to what the pulse is and what people think about it, then that will probably dictate what you do next time. Well, I shouldn't have done this because they didn't like this thing, you know.
yeah.
But we're not making iPhones, we're not making widgets, we're not making I'm not making electric cars, I'm making music.
Hmm.
So just And I don't, yeah, again, I don't believe all these people that say, oh, I just post and ghost, man. I don't, yes, you do. We all do it. Everyone looks at the comment section because it feels good when you see that dopamine that happens when you see
Hmm.
comments come back that
Are
are
favorable.
validating everything that
Yeah.
you already think about this thing. Man, that feels great, man. It's just a rush, and there's no one who's immune to that. And I don't believe anybody who says that they never look at the comment section. They absolutely do.
Unless they have the comments turned off. That's how you're not.
But I always find that suspect, don't you? Like when people turn the comments off, it's like I think it's
Um,
suspect. Not suspect in like they're doing anything wrong. Suspect is in
like they
like
don't want to read, like they don't want to.
like
They're
like
not.
I to me this is gonna I hope people don't again people are gonna send me hate now if I say this but like I feel like that's going like I know this thing is terrible or I know this is the wrong take or I know and I don't have the ammunition to defend it so therefore I'm gonna turn off the comments
So you can't touch me.
I'm gonna say something ridiculous or or I don't believe in what I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
and I don't have to defend anything. And not that anyone has to defend anything. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, but it's almost like walking into the public square and spouting off about something controversial and then just like disappearing out of the
So
and no
no
one
one
can
has a
say
chance to like
right.
say comments or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I probably am.
No.
I'm wrong a lot of the time, but
We did talk about this starting out as a graphic novel. I hear it's supposed to come out this year.
I'm planning on it coming out by the end of the year, but there's so many moving parts with this thing that I'm not sure. Maybe early into next year because I'm really wanting I'm trying to do something unique with the artwork for it rather than it
Yeah.
being a traditional like comic type artwork. I mean, it will have that vibe, but
Hmm.
I'm just wanting to try something different with it, and it's a bit more time consuming.
Okay.
So, and I'm not doing the artwork. I can't, I can draw. I'm pretty good at like graphic design stuff, like all the
Sure.
symbols
Uh-huh.
on I made all of those and did that
Hmm.
stuff, but like I can't draw people or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I'm working with someone and I just want to make sure that it's great, when it comes
Hmm.
out, and it's a bit different. So, if that starts eating away too much time, then I'll just push it back. And I'm not, um, I've got soft deadlines and soft goals for this thing because
Hmm.
it's not like I don't have this hard line where it's like, well, if this is, it has to be out by now. But I also don't want it to just linger and because I can do
Hmm.
that too, man. I can try to make something perfect and then ruin it. So, um, the plan is the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But we did talk about it like happening around the attention era. How,
Yeah.
when did the
Yes.
idea to like actually have a graphic novel happen? Just the idea
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. So this is gonna again, people are gonna think that I'm like woo woo or something, but like this really happened. So I was in a hotel room in Milan, Italy, on the attention cycle, like right at the beginning of the attention cycle. We were touring Europe, and
Yeah.
um, uh, I had this voice that's not mine. Like anybody who's ever had this happen understands what I'm talking about. And I just got done with a workout in my room, and maybe it was the endorphins that were pumping or something, but it was just like, you might want to write this down. Like
Uh-huh.
literally, that was the download that I got was you might want to write this down.
Jeez. Yeah.
And so I started writing, and for the next 2 hours, wrote down kind of well, not even kind of, what is the prequel to the story I'm telling. But I didn't know that at the time. I was just writing about this character and what who he was and what he was, and not in a lot of detail, more in just like stream of consciousness. And
Sure. Like bullet points almost.
I'd write one thing, and that would lead to another thought that would, and I kind of formulated this whole history of this world in about 2 hours, and that was it, man. I just kept writing and continue to refine it and refine characters and that kind of thing. And um, but it's been going on for quite some time and not like 24/7,
Hmm.
but yeah, I go through bursts of writing and wanting to work on it and have records to make in between and stuff
Sure.
going on and touring and touring is a good time to write actually because there's really not you'd be surprised how boring it is out here.
I heard that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I heard that you had said it's not a lot, a whole lot happening.
No, no, it's well not for, again, wow, wow, wow. We're super blessed, right, to be. But it's like
Yeah.
I almost wish that I was one of those people that had to get up at 7 to go set the stage up or something, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
like you put set in a direction instead of this arbitrary, like, well, you really don't have to do anything until, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.
Yeah.
and the rest of the time you can kind of do whatever you want. And so we don't party anymore or anything like that. And so
Hmm.
there's quite a bit of not knowing what to do with myself. So
Oh, this is perfect then. This is
yeah,
perfect
it's great.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but so that was that era, and then the album actually happened sort of. I mean, it finished it during COVID, so it actually was done. I finished the last mix 1 or 2 days before Brent and I started writing the first song for the Planet Zero record. So it's been kind of finished for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this whole thing has been in the works for a minute, and that's you were talking about maybe some of the similarities not similarities, but some of the DNA of Shinedown and the
Mhm.
stuff. And um, I'm one of the principal songwriters in Shinedown, so that probably makes sense. But also, it's sandwiched right between Attention and Planet Zero. So there's pieces and maybe musical, because it's a snapshot in time, when you make a record. So
Mhm.
my musical brain was kind of in that place of those two records coming off of one, starting another, and it's kind of right in the center of those two. So
Yeah.
there probably are some things that are similar.
So when you had this story done, when did you think, okay, I this probably should have a soundtrack to it?
Um, you know,
Or was it like at the same time?
it was sort of the same time, but not really. I didn't take it too seriously because it was, you know, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with any of it really. Because I'm one of these ADD people that I have 1,001 ideas for things, and some of them see
Sure.
the light of day, and some of them I'll start and they never finish, and some of them. So there are a lot there's a huge graveyard of Eric Bass ideas, somewhere that this stuff's just gone to die. Uh, but it was during the I'll tell you, like, I can actually remember on our attention cycle we did a tour of Papa Roach, and I don't remember when that was, but I was working on the songs for that during that tour, the songs for the record during that tour.
Mhm.
So it was somewhere around that time, I guess, that I started taking it pretty seriously, that this was
Yeah.
something I wanted to do and finish.
Were the characters, are they kind of like an extension of Eric Bass?
Oh yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for sure, man. Um, I didn't really realize as to what extent that was until I started doing the record, actually. But yeah, it's a pretty epic story. It's a very much a hero's journey story, and I'm not comparing myself to, please, to a George Lucas or to a Tolkien or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the gist of it. It's that big epic journey type of story. And this is just telling one piece of it. There are going to be 4 books total
Oh
for the whole
wow.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just the first part. But it's yeah, they're so you start intimately knowing these characters and who they are, and then as I was writing the music for it, I started to realize like what each character kind of represented a piece of my headspace, and
Yeah.
maybe my depression, and maybe some of the neurodivergent stuff, and just how all of that stuff ties in together. When I started writing the lyrics for because writing lyrics is different than writing story. It's way more concise. It's not that writing dialogue and writing characters isn't emotional, because it is, but it's more personal, and I can't write lyrics that aren't personal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm writing about these characters who I know, and I start writing very personal things, and naturally they're going to come from me. So it's going to be
Yeah.
a very personal journey where each one of these characters kind of ends up enveloping a part of my headspace. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, is this an album that you think you can take out on the road when you do have time?
Yeah, I think so. I originally wouldn't have, I originally was said no all the way around. Like I wasn't ever going to try to play any of the stuff on tour, but
Uh-huh.
on a tour. But
Hmm. Hmm.
I've kind of turned my opinion of that a bit, and I think maybe it's something I could do when I have time, and maybe around the release of the book rather than. Now
Hmm.
that, because again, we're Shinedown's ramping up, so probably around the release of the book, I would imagine if I was going to do it, and just kind of do like an all-star band of people that from other bands and friends and that kind of thing, and
That's awesome. Yeah.
make it fun, man, make it fun for people to come and experience.
So you've mentioned how close you are with the guys of Shinedown, and
Mhm.
um, what does it mean to you to have their support on something, so personal that you're releasing out to the
Yeah,
world?
it's awesome, man. Like a lot of again, back to blessings. I mean, I know so many bands that don't have the type of relationship that we have in our band, and or bands that they maintain a professional relationship but don't have personal relationships, and they have their
Mhm.
problems infighting and that kind of thing. And look, I mean, we have opinions, and we obviously have things that we work through, and times when we piss each other off, and all of
I
those
think that's
things.
like
But
that's any time when you're with a group of people or with one
yeah.
person. It's like a marriage.
It is for
You're
sure, and
yeah.
and you sort of, well, you not even sort of, you pick your battles, and you realize that what you're when to put your when to plant a flag in the ground, and when to just not worry about things. And so, but anyway, that's a long way of me saying that I'm in a great situation with these guys, and it does mean a lot to me that they support me, and I
Hmm.
support them in things that they want to do. I mean, Zach and Brent have had Smith Myers, and Barry and I, completely support that, even though we joke about it a lot.
Yeah.
It is, we joke about it a good bit, but I really do support them. I mean, um, that's something else too, man. When you just, you, Shinedown is kind of this monolith, and if all, you can't direct all of your creative energy at that one thing all the time,
Hmm.
because so much of yourself goes into it. It's almost like you just need a release valve to do something else. And Smith Myers is a fun thing for those guys because it's not like something like and this is going to sound bad, but it's not. Uh, when I went in to make my record, it was this thing I was just slaving over and pouring all this energy into, and it took a long time to do. When they go in and do a Smith Myers record, they write it really quickly, and they turn it around really quickly, and it's just sort of this like fun, um not so serious thing. They take the songwriting seriously, obviously. You have to
Sure,
you have
sure,
to
sure.
try to write great songs, um but there's not, again, back to the fact that there's not all this gravity to it. It's not like, you can put a Smith Myers record out, and not every song has to be a single.
Hmm.
You can write, just write freely. And that's important. It's important to have those outlets. Barry is doing this. He has a ghost hunting show with John, our head of security,
He does.
called Booze, Brews, and Barbecues, and it's on YouTube right now. Uh, and he does that. He cooks a lot. He does. I know he's been working on a cookbook for a while.
He has a
And
hot sauce too.
he's
I
got the
love.
hot sauce. Yeah, he's got the
Yeah,
hot sauces. Yeah.
yeah.
So and that's what makes him tick. But we all need these little releases, and
Hmm.
we have to support each other in this stuff. Because I mean, honestly, man, it is like a marriage. I mean, would you not support your significant other if they were passionate about something? I think
Hmm.
that would not make for
That'd be crummy.
yeah, that would not make for a good home life. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing here.
So now that, I Had a Name is out in the world, and you've been working on it for so many years, what do you hope fans take away from it, old and new fans?
I just want them to love it. I just want them to enjoy it. Music is healing. I say this quite a lot. Music is supposed to heal you, whether you're, in a mosh pit, or you're crying in the car in the driveway, whatever it is, music is there for that. And that's why I make it, because it's like that for me. It's therapy and healing for me when I'm making it. I want that to carry over to, maybe not just fans, maybe somebody that just hears the song and loves a song, you know.
Hmm.
Like, they don't become a fan of Eric Bass Presents. They just hear this, they hear Good Night or something, and they're like, this is amazing. I love this one thing. Um, that's it. That's all I want them to take away from it. And hopefully, one thing that I tried to do with this record is, sometimes when you're making concept records, and they can be sort of on the nose, and they can, tell the story too on the nose, like, this person did this, and then they did this, almost like a story.
Yeah.
And I tried to kind of be a little more abstract with this, to where I'm telling these scenes, but I'm letting you in on what the character's thinking and feeling. So it's written in a way, hopefully, that is like you're not listening to a concept record, and
Mhm.
you can listen to the lyrics and see yourself in what's being said. So, and I hope that leads to the enjoyment factor. So that's really all I want is for people to just, get some healing out of it, get some love out of it,
Awesome. So I know you have so much stuff going on. Thank you again so much for taking the time to talk to me just about Shinedown, but especially Eric Bass Presents. Make sure to go see Shinedown when they're out on tour. And I Had a Name is out now. Have a great rehearsal, and hopefully we get to see you soon in Vegas.
We will see you soon.
Okay.
We'll be there. We can't miss Vegas.
Okay. I'm holding you to that.
All right. Thank you so much. I
All
appreciate the time. I
right.
really do. Thank you.